You know, one of the things we've used down here at the Haunted Mansion for the past 18 years, more than anything else,
More than black paint?
more than black paint,
More than drywall screws?
more than drywall screws,
More than hot glue?
maybe not more than hot glue,
I was going to say, we use a lot of hot glue down here.
is joint compound, and we use this to
right.
texture the walls and the props. Here we've created a brick pillar, and we use the joint compound to simulate the bricks and the mortar.
Right, and to do that, we just make a wooden box and then make that application, and it ends up looking like a pillar.
What we're going to do is go back to the shop now. We'll show you exactly how we did this.
Right. Ooh, that looks delicious. Is it done yet?
No, you can't eat that. That's joint compound, and we're going to use this to create the texture on our walls. So we want to put on a nice, even layer, like so. Not too thick, not too thin.
And before you do that, you might want to mix your paint in there. That way, if people rub up against this and scuff this off, the color will always be there. If you didn't do that, you'd have to go back and repaint this over and over again.
Right. And we're not going to put paint in it right now because we're going to show you texturing the walls and the bricks. So we've got our little layer on here, and we're going to take a sponge, and just a damp sponge. We're going to wring out most of the water, and we're going to just dab the joint compound like so, and that gives a little bit of a texture. And it's important to keep the sponge wet because if you didn't, it's going to pull that out so much that it's going to look like stucco. And if we're trying to simulate cement, we don't want quite that much of a texture. So you just dab lightly. Okay? And you've got that effect. Now, we can also use the joint compound to simulate bricks. And again, we're going to put on another layer over here. And you want to keep this layer just a little bit more even.
And a little bit thicker because you're going to be scraping some away.
Right. We've got to get enough on here to show you.
Because otherwise you wouldn't see how we do this.
Why don't you show them the board?
Oh, while he's doing that, let me show you this board. We cut this board a little bit a while ago. And this is a board that's cut to roughly a brick width. And the length doesn't matter. The longer it is, the more bricks you can do. But this is just supposed to be a brick width. It could be plywood. It could be 1x3, whatever you desire.
That's a guide to kind of guide us along as we make the bricks. So we're going to use the guide.
And we're also going to use this paint stirrer, which we've cut with a little notch.
Right.
And that simulates the width of the mortar in between the bricks.
Okay. And we're going to line up our board.
Master.
Okay. And we're going to use that width to scrape off some of the joint compound.
Line up another one.
And we're just going to scrape again.
Line up another one.
And scrape again.
Line up another one.
One more time.
There you go.
There we go. Now that's the width of the brick. And now we got to put our vertical lines in. We can use the same board here. And we just scrape off a little bit. And remember, every other one.
You got to skip that because otherwise you wouldn't have bricks lined up on top of each other like that.
And of course, this one gets one right there. And now we have the outline of our bricks on the wall. Now the next step is again to take some more joint compound, and we're just going to go over the bricks like this.
Adding a little bit of thickness and depth because some of the bricks would be set in a little bit, some of the bricks would be set out.
Right, so we can use a little bit more joint compound on some of them.
And a little bit less on others.
Right. And that kind of smooths down those edges too. Just like that. And if we like, we can go over with a damp sponge again, just to kind of give them some texture here and there.
Not as much as you've done over here with the stucco, just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Okay. Now, if we were going to do this on a wall where we wanted to make the wall look like it's been crumbling away, like the cement part has been crumbling away, exposing the bricks underneath, we could do it just like this. As a matter of fact, if we build up just a little bit of an edge over here with the joint compound, like so, that's going to be the edge where the cement is falling off.
Right, because this cement has been applied over that brick, now it's fallen away, so this would be a little bit thicker than that would be over there.
Just like that. And we'll go back with a sponge, tidy that up a little bit.
Sort of bleeding that into the other stuff, so there's kind of big hump all of a sudden.
And that gives a little edge. It looks like maybe the bricks are a little, behind the cement. And when we paint this, we're going to paint the bricks, of course, using a couple different colors, brick red and different shades of brown. And then the cement will be a different color, so you'll really get a feeling like the wall's been crumbling away.
Ooh.
Okay. And now we're going to go and look at some more Haunted Mansion ideas. Okay, here we are in the mausoleum, and we've used the joint compound in here to texture the walls. We've applied the joint compound to the wall, went over it with the sponge, like we showed you before, and then we painted the whole thing gray.
Now we took some black paint and we spattered it on there just to give it a little bit more texture.
Right, and now we're gonna add some moss vines to the wall. What we've done is we picked up some moss at a florist supply store, and it was packaged.
We're going to attach that onto the wall with some of this invisible spray adhesive.
And wherever the spray adhesive is, of course the moss sticks, just like that.
And you can get this at your hardware store. It's a little bit hard to find. You're going to have to look for it.
Imagine it is.
Sorry, kitty.
Okay, so we've created some moss vines, a nice texture to the wall in here. Let's go see the next effect.
Got a Band-Aid. Now let's take a look at some wall treatments. What we're trying to replicate here is a plaster wall that has begun to decay and fall away. What we've done is we've taken some regular drywall, we've put some wallpaper on that, we've selected some eerie wallpaper that goes with our scene, and we're creating this effect. Kev, how do you go about doing that?
Well, first we took a hammer and we put a hole in the wall and we pulled away the wallpaper and we put these pieces of lathe, we've glued them in from the back, and we've dripped some joint compound on the front of them to make it look like the plaster's been falling off. And now we're just going to finish up these cracks here. We just take a regular screwdriver and we dig into the wall like so.
If you notice, there's he's just kind of making these cracks through here. He's leaving the paper hanging off. That adds to the rustic look. Also, what we have here are some black lines. We've just been taking some black paint, mix it up with some water, very, very thin, and we drip that down here to replicate moisture behind here that has made the wall weak, and that's why it's fallen through at this point.
Right. And there you have it. And that definitely adds to the atmosphere of the house.
I think so.
Now,
what do we got down here?
Well, down here is some paneling that we've created, three-dimensional paneling that you might find in an old house. And we've done it by just taking some 1/4-inch Luan and some 1x3 for spacers. We've cut out the Luan in these rectangular shapes here, and we've run 1x3 around the inside and put another layer of paneling on the back.
Then what we did was we took a router and we gave a little bit of texture to this with our router bit, and that adds a nice rich look to that.
And we painted this using like an orange colored paint first and then a brown glaze, and with a brush we've gone back and put in some wood grain to make it look like mahogany. Looks really nice.
When you put this together with the wallpaper up here, it makes a nice look for libraries, and those kind of
any
things.
old rooms of the house.
Right. Okay, great.
Okay.
Oh, take that, Guinevere! Yow! Oh, Guinevere! Are you okay?
Guinevere, it's me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Trying to make sure the Iron Maiden illusion was ready to show these people how we do it.
I was helping you point that out.
Every year we like to involve the audience with an audience participation effect.
So what we do is we have our Dungeon Master take one member of the audience and place them inside the Iron Maiden.
Then he takes those swords and sticks them in. But one of our assistants have taken them out the back and replaced them with a skeleton. So next time the Iron Maiden's open, it's just a skeleton inside.
Now it's very important you have somebody back there to take them out, because as you can see, these swords are real.
Thank you, David Copperfield.
You're welcome.
Let's go over here and take a look at the throne that we've created using a couple techniques. This is a throne that we made using self-sculpture, which is what we do is when we take muslin and we use polyfill, which is what they use to stuff pillows with.
Pillow stuff with that.
Right, and we've kind of created a little pillow here, and with a staple gun, we've kind of poked it in here and stapled it down, kind of sculpting out this skull and these ribs.
Now what we've done is we've taken some plywood and we've cut it out into these rib shapes. This is just regular 1/2-inch plywood with that painted technique that Kev was talking about earlier. A little bit of splatter. You mix the two together and you get this beautiful throne.
Yep, thrones of bones.
Thrones of bone.
There you go. Here's a really great effect. We've cut the floor out to create this open grave. We've done some dirt and rock work at the bottom with some burlap and some plaster. And we put this corpse in and animated his hand, so he's scratching, clawing his way, trying to get out of that grave.
Now what we've done is we've covered the entire hole with a 3/4-inch thick acrylic plexiglass.
Right, because the guests are actually going to walk over top of the grave, over top of this corpse.
If you don't use the 3/4 thick acrylic plexiglass, if you go with something smaller than that, it's going to crack, people are going to get injured. So what you want to do is use the 3/4-inch thick. Our hole here is about 2 feet by 5 feet, so that works nicely for us. If you go to a bigger hole, you're going to need a thicker plexiglass.
Right. This effect works really great. We've done it in the past with snake pits and rats, and it always works. People are very afraid to walk over top of
Anything people are
these
afraid to
things.
walk over. You can put snakes and rats and spiders and lawyers. Anything people are afraid to go near, put it in here. They walk across it. Very frightening.
It's a great
Very
idea.
frightening.
Last year, we were able to get a big scare out of a small space using a simple casket and an electric eye.
As you saw in the video, we created this nice little set of the vampire in the casket, and we've done it in a space no bigger than the size of a closet. First, we started off by distressing the walls by mixing up some sawdust and some paint and applying that to the wall, and then dry brushing. We've also put on some patches of brick. This happens to be vacuum formed brick, but you can use styrofoam to make your bricks. We put that on the walls to simulate that the walls have been crumbling away. Up here on the ceiling, we've taken some cheesecloth and we've torn that up with a razor blade, and we've hung that down from the ceiling, and that kind of gives an effect of cobwebs up there. It looks really eerie. So there you have it. With a couple more props like this candelabra and some spiders, you got a nice little scene here. Okay, Jeff, you can come out. Jeff?
I'm not in there. I was down at the commissary getting a donut. You like one?